Seth Wickersham put out a report that's pretty scathing on some of the process of Caleb Williams getting to the Chicago Bears. And it should be stressed that this wasn't about Caleb. This was about some of the people around Caleb looking at all of his options, including hiring attorneys or signing with the UFL. I got to ask you, C-Rob, because everybody's reacting to this and then immediately, this is the tie that most people make. I'm putting my fan hat on for a second. Most people are looking at it and saying, well, if Caleb, then Arch. So my question for you is, when we see all of this stuff about Caleb and the people around Caleb, at least looking at ways to fight the draft system, will anybody ever fight the draft system and win?
Well, you bring up Arch. I mean, Arch actually has his grandfather, right? Archie Manning is his grandfather, right? Isn't he Archie's grandfather?
Yep. Cooper's kid.
Yeah.
He actually did it. I mean, Archie was like, screw it. Eli's not playing in San Diego. He's not going to go, to a franchise where his talent is going to die, and forced, obviously, the trade to the New York Giants. But look, this whole thing about Caleb, first off, if anybody ever quote unquote, challenges the league in a way where they're like, well, I'll just go play in this other league. I'll go play in the CFL, whatever. If push comes to shove and a player actually does that, other than the team that drafted him, every other team in the league will go, sweet, go. Because it's going to be a terrible decision. And you're going to pay a price for it. And you're going to ruin your career. But go ahead, do that. Let's let it play out so that we can use you as an example every single year from this point on. Now, maybe a player comes along with the option like a Kyler Murray, right? Where Kyler's in the draft. The Cardinals are like, we're going to take you number 1. And then Kyler says, you know what? I can go and play for the Oakland A's. I'm in the minor league system. They think a lot of me. It looks like I have a future there. If you have that option, that's different. But you don't have any other football option. This is it. Okay? So you can try to force your way to another team. Fine. You can't fight the draft system. You can't, this whole idea about lawyering up or whatever, you can't. It's a collectively bargained draft process. You're screwed. Okay? And you're part of that union. Right? That's your union membership. They're not going to change it. There's not going to be some CBA that's going to allow you to navigate your way out of the draft process. It is what it is. So, to me, all this is just a bunch of noise that I think is an extension of, in the pre-draft process, you're worried about, like, is there just too much stuff around Caleb? Like, is there, there's this 50 million things. We're not, not a bad kid. He hasn't, broken any laws or whatever, but it's like, oh, the pink cell phone and the fingernails and his Instagram account and the way he, talks about himself, some of the things he said about his teammates at USC, the climbing in the stands and crying, with his mom after losing a football game. Like, it's all that litany of stuff. And then this on top of it, right, is leading up to that pick in the draft. And then you had the Bears organization that's sitting there with a head coach and Matt Eberflus, who was it was just a terrible match. It was awful to align all of that. That to me is more what this is about. And it's got to stop. And I made the point to you guys when we were talking about this before. Now I understand how important it was to land Ben Johnson. Like, holy I figured it was important before, but now I really understand. Like, you got to have somebody that can come in that building and look at the landscape and say, enough of this. Like, enough of the garbage. And I questioned, honestly, I didn't know if Ben Johnson was going to be that kind of coach. We'll see if he can be. I will say the early results to me look like someone competent in the organization. It looks like somebody who is competent, confident, knows what he's doing, has a plan moving forward. That's what's ultimately going to have to cut all this crap, around Caleb out of the picture. But this is certainly not something that's going to help them. Like, it comes out and I'm just like, this is like, really, they needed this on top of everything else. It just makes the Chicago Bears front office look terrible.
It does. But I think that it's very interesting because everybody, the knee-jerk reaction is always to fight back against player power and, empowering players and all that. But everything Caleb's dad said was as spot on as could be. The Bears are where quarterbacks go to die. Matt Eberflus was a slappy. Shane Waldron was not going to work well with Caleb. Like, everything that they set out was absolutely spot on. And it came true in his first year where Yeah, I thought he had a pretty rough rookie year. Some stats are pretty good for him, and he showed some talent, obviously. But I mean, nothing looked organized there. And the whole thing about, yeah, they would just make me go watch film by myself, and nobody was telling me what to look for. Like, oh my goodness, like that coaching staff was a disaster. And I think that you talk about this piles on with the Bears, and in some ways that's true, but it's also like they needed this. They needed this slap in the face. I remember early in the coaching search, the word was, the Bears aren't going to pay for a big time head coach. They're not going to pay for it. And I think that they at some point woke up and decided, we can't be this franchise anymore. We can't be the franchise that no quarterback wants to go to in the first pick of the draft is saying, oh my God, how do we get out of this? Let's get lawyers involved to try to steer us away from the Chicago Bears. We can't be that franchise anymore. We have to do what we got to do to get Ben Johnson, like you said, Charles. I just think that this whole situation, the funny part about it is Caleb and his dad knew exactly what was going to happen, and it played out exactly like this. And it also illustrates, like, you can hate the situation you're going to. Let's say it's Arch and going to the Giants, if that's one of them. You could be like, well, I hate the head coach. The ownership stinks, this and this and this and this. And you have no choice in the matter. And you're just kind of serving your career up to die if you're going to one of those poverty franchises, like the Bears have been a quarterback for all these years. And I don't know how to get out of that. Like you said, Charles, like, what option do these guys have? Oh, I'm going to sit out. Okay, sit out. Fine. Yeah, I'm going to go to the UFL. Have fun. There's just no option for these guys, even if they know they're stepping into a career-killing situation.
Well, first off, I mean, Arch does still have an option this year. He can go back
to Texas.
He can go back to Texas, right? And
it might not be Arch. It might be Drew Aller or whoever.
Whoever. I mean, again, you fine, exhaust your eligibility, go into the draft, and if you don't like the team that's sitting there and drafting you, your option is just to go, I'm not coming, and to find something else to do until you break them. That's it. Like, but it's no different really, across all the sports that draft player. I mean, look, in Major League Baseball, if you get drafted in high school, obviously you can say, screw it, I'm going back. I'm going to college. I'm not going to sign with that team. You have the option to not sign. And frankly, so do these draft picks. You have that option. Don't sign. Sit out. I don't know what else to say here. Like, I don't know what he thought was going to happen with lawyers. What are lawyers going to do? They sue the Bears to not take you?
That was
get paid.
It's
lawyers
interesting
always get paid. That's what lawyers do.
Sue the league.
Lawyers won.
You're going to sue the league to be a free agent as a player coming out of college? You think that's ever going to happen?
Charles, you talked. I mean, this is all sports, right? If Cooper Flagg was going to the Washington Wizards and was just like, oh my God, I can't win here. My career's going in the tank if I go to the Wizards. There's no recourse. Do you think at any sport, any level, any guy is ever going to challenge us and win? Probably not, right?
Because it's collectively bargained. Like, that's the whole part about this. Like, a union collectively bargains these things. So, like, from the outside looking in, I don't like the expectation that you're going to sue something to break it apart when, in fact, once you are drafted, you have to join the union to play. Like,
I think the only maybe, and I don't know if this is right or not. My guess would be you would have to have the union dissolve. So the union says, okay, this kid doesn't want to play for the Bears. We have this collectively bargained situation in place. We're just going to dissolve
that these guys?
But I don't even know if that would work.
That's the thing. Caleb wasn't part of the union when this was negotiated. And I just don't see how, honestly, like, if you were to get out of sports culture real quick and just think about this, if we were coming out of college, right? You're coming out of Michigan State, I'm coming out of Wisconsin. And this ridiculous system where some podunk website hires us because we can't get hired anywhere. That seems to me to be crazy. Like, I'm like, I don't want to go work for that website. Like, this is stupid. But in sports, it's like, oh, that's a collectively bargained. What can we do?
You're right. That doesn't exist in all worlds. But I will tell you this: if you are a musician and you perform on a TV show, if a microphone is even in front of you, you have to be a member of SAG-AFTRA. You have no choice. So if you're going to play the Tonight Show, you either have to register as part of the musicians union or part of SAG-AFTRA before you can even step on that stage. And if your band happens to be playing and you walk out and they put a microphone in front of you, now, if you're not a SAG-AFTRA member, when you play the Tonight Show, which pays like a few $100, that is automatically swallowed up by SAG-AFTRA, and you get a bill for the $3,000 that you have to pay to join SAG-AFTRA. Like, there is no choice around it because you cannot perform on the Tonight Show with a microphone in front of you unless you are SAG-AFTRA. So, like, these things exist, and there's nothing you can do to challenge that.
But I think that's a little Fitz. I think it's a little different. It would have been like, hey, you want to go join the band Perry, and we're going to make great music, and we're going to go Grammy someday. And some other band who was even worse was like, no, we need a fiddler. We draft you, and you have no choice in the matter. Like that.
Nightmare.
That doesn't happen in real life. It doesn't.
I can't imagine. But all I'm saying is that once there's a union deal with something that exists, you can't attack the league. You'd have to attack the union first. You'd have to dismantle the union and then go after the league. And by the time any prospects' attorneys go through that process, I just feel like, great, it's 15 years later, back and forth lawsuits, and nobody's playing. Like, it feels unrealistic to me.
Frank's a union buster.
I just try to look at this as a real life thing. And if I was in Caleb Williams' position again,
why do we do that with sports though? Like, why do we make that comparison? Like,
why don't we do it? Why
happen in real life?
It should be in real life.
Sports is not real life. No, it's not.
Shouldn't Caleb Williams have? He's a guy who's 21 years old trying to get into any profession. He could be a doctor anywhere he wants. He could be a lawyer anywhere he wants. But because he's a football player, they say, you have to go play for Chicago where quarterbacks go to die. He has no control over this. And this is the only industry in this, I think, when that happens. I can't think of a comparison to real life. So if you get in front of a judge who's not a football fan, like most judges are, it seems, when anything football related comes up, don't they just say, yeah, this is kind of weird? Like, I just don't think Maurice Clarett wasn't the right guy to challenge the system and all that. I just wonder if somebody in our lifetime is going to challenge a system and going to get in front of the right court, right judge, and they're going to say, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. That Caleb Williams has no choice but to spend his prime money-making years in a situation he knows sucks. Like, because he knew that sucked, and it did.
My entertainment attorney told me years ago when I was in music that lawsuits are rarely won by whoever's right or wrong. They're most of the time won by whoever has the most money and the most resilience. I don't think you're going to outspend or 32 NFL owners. Good luck with that.